This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet, a slim front pocket wallet available in carbon fiber and titanium. With more than 250,000 sold, a lifetime guarantee and free shipping, get 10% off with the code GOLDFISH at ridgewallet.com. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Thursday means it's Fishbowl Thursday here in Instant Deck Tech land, and this week we have a super sweet, really crazy, fairly budget-friendly prison lock deck to check out for Modern. This is Quicksilver Choke. Comes to us from Anonymous, so thank you, Anonymous, for submitting the deck. If you'd like your own deck considered for a future edition of Fishbowl Thursday, make sure to leave a link in the comments, or you can send me an email, saffronolive@mtggoldfish.com. Anyway, let's talk about this crazy Quicksilver Choke deck. So, this deck is basically looking to make the opponent not be able to play Magic, and it starts with the Enchantment Choke. So Choke is one of the most punishing cards in Modern. Normally it doesn't get too out of hand because it only punishes a very specific thing, islands. Choke, 3 mana, islands don't untap during their controller's untap phase. So if you're playing a mono blue deck that has a lot of islands, you just can only use each of your lands one time. It is very, very, very punishing, very hard to beat. So the problem with Choke, as I mentioned before, is it doesn't do anything against mountains, or plains, or swamps, or forests, or non-basic lands that produce blue mana. So to make Choke be a true lock piece, you gotta kind of build around it and make sure that your opponent has islands, and the main combo for this is Quicksilver Fountain. So Quicksilver Fountain, this wacky artifact, kind of like the blue Blood Moon, except it's super slow. But at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player puts a flood counter on a non-island land they control. It becomes an island as long as there's a flood counter on it. And then, when all the lands in play are islands, all flood counters are removed and the lands go back to being non-islands. So if we can get down a Quicksilver Fountain with Choke, we're going to start slowly making our opponent's lands into islands, and then once they use them, they won't be able to use them again. But even here, we still have a problem. Sooner or later, everything will be an island, and then everything becomes not an island, and Choke isn't doing anything anymore. So we need another piece to this puzzle to really lock things in, and the next piece is Power Conduit. So Power Conduit is really sweet for 2 reasons. First off, it lets us keep the Choke Quicksilver Fountain lock going forever, because it lets us tap to remove a counter from a permanent we control. So we can just every turn, tap it, take a flood counter off of one of our islands, then we can put the flood counter back on it, so we can keep that going forever and ever and ever. It also makes sure we don't get locked too hard under our own chokes, because we can just keep using that one land as our island land, putting the counter on and off of it. Meanwhile, our opponent has to keep adding counters, and they're just going to be hard locked out of using their mana. The last piece of the puzzle, which is super sweet, is Root Maze. So Root Maze is just another way of taxing our opponent's mana, and make sure our opponent can't just save up their mana, and get out from under Choke that way, because that's the way that you would beat a Choke, is just keeping your lands untapped, but with the combination of Root Maze, with the rest of our lock pieces, lands enter tapped, opponent can't do that and just keep leaving their lands untapped, because let's say they're to the point, which will happen pretty quickly, where all their lands are islands, they're going to play that one land, it's going to enter tap so they can't use it right away, and then on their next upkeep, they're not going to have a choice but to turn it into an island with Quicksilver Fountain, which means sure, they can use that one island, but if they tap it, then they're out of luck. So another cool way of taxing the opponent's mana. As far as our side of the battlefield, apart from Power Conduit, which does double duty, keeping the lock going forever and letting us use our mana, we also have Azur's Gateway, which cycles through our deck, but is also the ultimate get out from under the lock piece, because once we flip it around, we have Sanctum of the Sun, which is not an island, and it taps for an insane amount of mana. So even if we end up getting stuck with our entire mana base not untapping thanks to our own lock, we can still use Sanctum of the Sun to cast anything we need to cast and do some crazy things. Furthermore, we have a mana base which is built around the fact that Choke is in our deck. So even though we're a blue deck, and this is one of the hurdles to building a Choke deck that uses blue cards, we have a lot of lands that are not islands. Yavimaya Coast, Hinterland Harbor, Lumbering Falls all make blue mana, but not technically islands. Forest, of course, not an island. We do have a single island, but you gotta play some basics so you don't get Blood Mooned out of the game. We also have Birds of Paradise, which is another mana source not affected by our Choke lock, helps us accelerate into all of our 3-drops. As far as winning the game, we have 2 big plans. They are Nissa Voice of Zendikar and 1 Nissa Steward of Elements. So these cards just slowly grind out value. If we have enough mana, we can 10 our opponent by ultimating Nissa Steward of Elements right away. They make chump blockers to help us stay alive. Eventually, we draw tons of cards, gain ton of life. We can even scry things onto the battlefield with the help of Nissa Steward of Elements. So these are our 2 big finishers. The rest of the deck, Ancient Stirrings, Cycle Store deck, it finds a lot of our key pieces. The Power Conduit, it finds a Quicksilver Fountain, it finds our Azur's Gateway, also just finds lands to make sure we keep hitting our land drop. Then we have some backup ways to turn things into islands, so while we are waiting to get the Quicksilver Fountain lock set up, or just to speed up the process, Spreading Seas, Seize Claim, just turn one of our opponent's lands of our choice into an island, start locking them down with Choke. Finally, Aetherize gives us a bit of weird removal. It's better in our deck than most decks. Normally, like, bouncing everything, that's fine, but not that great in Modern. Stuff is cheap, people can replay it. But if our opponent's getting choked out, Aetherize suddenly becomes like 4 mana hard removal for all attacking creatures because they're not going to have the mana to replay it. Sideboard, Ceremonious Rejection, negate for some counter magic, Filigree Familiar for aggro to gain a bit of life, Relic for graveyard hate, Imprison in the Moon, kind of just the blue version of Oblivion Ring, essentially, and Aetherize for more attacking hate. And that is Quicksilver Choke for Modern, and that's our Fishbowl Thursday instant deck for this week. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks again to Anonymous for sending it in. One more reminder, if you want your own deck considered for a future Fishbowl Thursday, leave me a link in the comments, send that email, saffronolive@mtggoldfish.com. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.